Hello, Neil, and welcome to your deck review. For those of you joining us for the first time, this is a series where I, Maltown, fix your PP, your premise, and the practicum of your deck. The premise being the idea you've built it around, the practicum being the actual cards you have picked. So we're going to spend maybe 5 minutes talking about what's wrong with the idea, 5 to 10 minutes talking about what's wrong with the cards you picked, 5 minutes on how do we fix it. And it will probably get a lot muddier than that. But thank you for being here. So we have an Alayla Cunning Conqueror deck, a Dimmer Fairy Tempo deck for bracket 2. So you want to do it for each color combination. Dimir was difficult. We're doing Alayla because casting spells on opponents' turns is fun. I agree with that. Super fun. And generating value that way sounded more fun and interactive. It is now a fairy deck, which worries me. I'm often a Kindred hater. I think when you decide to go Kindred, it makes a lot of choices for you, which locks you out of a lot of interesting play patterns. Like, I think the things you gain by going Kindred are just not worth it for, like, you give up the things that are actually creative in service of, well, I was playing this because it was the 25th best fairy or whatever. So we're avoiding combos, infinite hard locks, love that. Problem, we make value. We make cards, we make flyers, we stick our finger in people's mouths when they swing at us. But we do not present decisive threats, we cannot close games, and we cannot change the overall dynamic of the table. So we can be a thorn in somebody's side, but we are not moving mountains. I think I understand the game plan pretty well. I am unsure about win more cards. Yeah, anything that's a win more card I would probably kill. Are flash enablers like Vedalken Orrery and Leyline of Anticipation excessive for bracket 2? Absolutely not. I think they're probably better for bracket 2, quite frankly. Like, you're pushing toward, like, you're fine in bracket 3 too, but bracket 4 and above, you're like Born Upon a Wind. My win condition is already instant speed. So for the rest of the premise, let's talk through this on a really basic level. Because if our problem is, hey, I can't present meaningful threats, and let's get the Comic Sans going. Let's get the font size to like 30 so it's legible. I make 1/1s. Need bullet points. How do I make 1/1s a meaningful threat? They have to not be 1/1s anymore. You buff their power. You can do that with like an Anthem. You can do that with counters, whatever. Or how do I make 1/1s matter? I lower your HP some other way. Commander like Ophelia does this really well, where they have those built-in, like cut their life total by half or something. With blue-black, you can also definitely do like aristocrat effects. I know there are some fairies that will drain on ETB, although that will not feel very combat dominant. You will feel a lot like, or other people will be like, they're just playing fairy solitaire. They're counterspelling all my shit, and then I'm just getting killed by these ineffectual paper cuts. So if you want it to feel like you're shifting the table dynamics and presenting a combat threat, I probably wouldn't do lower your HP another way. The other way to make 1/1s matter, I have 1 billion of them. Those are your 3 options. So I think first things first, you have to pick your favorite. And the rest of the deck is probably going to flow pretty naturally from you picking your favorite. If you want to lower your HP another way, and you want to go into that solitary game plan, you're doing an aristocrat deck. You're going to leverage the fairy token engines. You're going to sack them. You're going to have things like Blood Artist, things like Zulaport Cutthroat. That is where you will break Kindred. If you want to have them no longer be 1/1s, you are almost certainly going with those big anthems like Banner of Kinship, Chronicle of Victory. And then the other thing you're going to want to do is 1/1 counters. You can either put these on one fairy, or you can do, and I know we're not breaking the streak of, oh my god, it's a black deck that wants to go to combat. Maldhound is recommending the mid 3-drop. But big wide board of fairies, if they're not going to take damage, great. All of them have a counter. They're 2/2s. Next turn, all of them get a counter. They're 3/3s. You will very quickly build up a board that can snowball damage over the course of 2 to 4 turns. You don't have access to things like Ouroboros, but you do have access to a couple things. Not a huge number. Again, white is a lot bigger on this than Dimir is, but Dimir is not totally out of options. Okay. So these won't work, these won't work, these won't work. We have 3. Holy fuck. So we're going to have to find a couple more options on top of this. So we have Andoril, Drana, Fire Nation, Sentinels. Depending on how much of a little rat you're being, this could fit in with the deck. It depends on how often you're killing enemy creatures or just how active your board is, right? If stuff dies in combat, this counts. And you're going to be like, oh my god, but they're not fairies. This is why I hate Kindred. You got to do a team up. You gotta, like, the only interesting part of any Kindred deck is what you are breaking Kindred for. So if you want to do tempo fairies who beat you to death because they're bigger than 1/1s, I would say you probably have to get these 3 in. Our next best option is going to be anything that just gives gives PP counters, but we're not going to be able to do it to everybody. You could do Soul Cleaver, but again, it depends a lot on how active your table is about killing stuff. You could do Agatha's Soul Cauldron. You could do Sword of Truth and Justice. That's normally not the side fairies are on, but you could definitely try it. Profs! That would certainly be a threat. Because you said you're drawing a lot of cards. Now, the hiccup here is you're probably drawing a lot of cards on other people's turns because you're playing at instant speed, and profs would require you to blow a little bit of your load on your turn, but this would be the thing that gives you the threat. Pip-Boy's one of my favorite, extremely low cost. Like, if you get it on turn 1, great. What other 1-drop were you playing? If you get it on turn 3 or later, you can just equip it immediately, get 2 mana back, or you can start building up a threat. Bane the Broker can kind of condense the stuff we're doing, but can't do a ton. Necropolis Regent. Really good over-the-top option. This is like as close as you're going to get to Ouroboros because you hit for 1, put 1 counter on. Hit for 2, put 2 counters on. So these are probably going to be a lot of my biggest, like, immediate hits on how do we make this board matter? How do we go from, okay, I'm being really annoying, but ultimately I'm just swinging 1/1s in a world dictated by dinosaurs. These are the things that will change it for you. So I think that will deal with must answer threats and close games decisively. For shift table dynamics, let's see what you're doing. Let's get into the practicum section. So first spell, during each opponent's turn, make a 1/1 Black Fairy Rogue creature token with flying. When we deal combat damage, we goad something they control. Great. Actually, I kind of rock with Fairy Bladecrafter. Growing Threat. I see what you're doing there. 8 instants worries me a ton. I know YouTube, you can't see this. It's behind my glorious forehead. But 8 instants worries me a lot. Unless a ton of these fairies have flash, what you're locking yourself into is I can't trigger my commander unless I get a flash enabler. Horrific. Really rough. Really rough. Because the numbers we want to look for is if you have 10 or less of something, you are going to naturally draw into like 1 in the whole game. You might not even see it. If you want to naturally draw multiple, you want like 20 or more. So if a ton of these fairies have flash, we're good. But if you are right now relying on I have to draw a flash enabler, or I should have been the monkey's paw curled in real time, holy fuck, or if I have to play incredibly, incredibly bad spells because they're instant speed. I mean, I guess it's protection. Bone Devourer. I don't love this because we're probably not pairing it with a board wipe. Wowza. Okay. That one has flash. Okay, flash enabler that has flash. Flash enabler that has flash. Enabler, flash. What's the blue spirit's mana cost? 4? Okay. Utter insignificance is fine. Okay. I think for the most part, we have tried to be too cute with what does flash. Some of these are cute enough that I'm inclined to let you keep them. But if we go through the ones I think are not good enough, I'd say Blessing of Leeches, Bone Devourer, Eel Umbra. Overcharged Amalgam, Tegwell's Scouring. Those 5. Oh, we've pre-tagged some of these shuts. Sacrifice. Yeah, sure. Make treasures via damage is good. Okay, Bone Devourer that's allegedly draw. Allegedly. I think Discovery's pretty greedy. It's okay in bracket. It's okay in bracket 2. You're probably gonna have time to do this. We have some discard for like no reason. Oh, it's because he's a fucking fairy. Yeah, god damn it. This is the kindred mind virus at work. We have Rankle in here because he's a goddamn fairy. You could probably leverage everybody sacrifices a creature. Everyone's gonna hate you, but you probably have like fairy rogues to throw around. Mana. Oh, not true. Gotcha. Synergy. That's not the case. First spell during each opponent's turn, look at the top card of their library, exile it face down. You may play that card for as long as it remains exiled. A mana of any type can be spent to cast it. I wouldn't call this synergy. This is, again, I think, Kindred Mind Virus speaking to you. Like, a number of these fairies are synergy with what fairies do. They are not synergies with what you want the deck to do. What we want the deck to do, as you have stated, is apply evasive pressure, control combat, and win through a scaling aerial swarm. This doesn't do a single fucking one of those things. It is a flying 2/2, so it is an evasive creature. It does not help with anything else we're doing. Same goes for Halo Forager. Roaming Throne could help if you picked Vampire and then played Necropolis Regent, but I think we have word clouded Fairy too much at the front of this. I have personal beef with shapeshifters. Like, to me, at the point you're running a shapeshifter, just accept that we're breaking kin. These are morally bankrupt cards. Yeah, this guy just clean sucks. So what we need to refocus on first is I have to be confident that I'm going to scale my board. We can see right now your power plus, not only are you tagging fucking Eel Umbra, like we're tagging +1/+1 banners, like turning a 1/1 into a 2/2, never gonna be enough. We're talking about 4 power creatures in the air, okay. We're talking about creatures that are gonna get bigger every time I swing, okay. But I think the only real, like, the meaty ones we have are Banner of Kinship. 3/4 of a point for Glenalendra Liege. So we have two things we could play where by themselves they're gonna make my board a little imposing. Well, we have 1.5 things because Glenalendra will do it for any of our fairies that are 2 colors, but for our monocolor fairies, this is just +1/+1. This again, it brings you to the level of like you are a bumblebee buzzing around their head. You're not a wasp. We want to be, if you're a Bleach watcher, what's her name? Soy Fun. You want to be this bitch. She has like a kiss of death ability. That's what we're trying to be on. So if I play through it right now, we don't hit lands. How do you have enough? You have 38. Okay. God just hates you. So we hit 3 lands. Our curve out looks horrible, but it's bracket 2, so our curve out's allowed to be a little bit horrible. We play a tap land. We do this. We flash in Final Word Phantom. We get to be very cute on somebody else's end step. We flash in our commander. We flash in. Can we double spell? No. So if we can't double spell, I will cast the most expensive thing. I will flash in a Malleable Imposter. I get a 1/1 fairy. And I have a copy of somebody else's good creature. Now I can double spell. Beautiful. So I flash in Tegwill on somebody's turn. I flash in Bladecrafter on someone else's turn. So now I have this big wide board. I can Kindred Dominance, I believe, right? Yeah, I have 7 mana. So I get Kindred Dominance, and I'm in a okay spot control-wise. Where I'm not in a good spot is power-wise. Now, at most, I could start getting Fairy Bladecrafter up 3 counters a turn. That's not nothing. Like, that's good. And in a couple turns, she can be a threat that has to be answered. But we need to bring the density of threats like her up. So that's where I'm going to return to stuff like Profs, Necropolis region, even the fucking Pip-Boy. Because the other thing I'm worried about, looking at this playtest... Oh, that's a terrible curve for a tempo deck. Oh, no, 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 no. No, 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 no. So we have a million spells that are competing with our commander. It means we can't double spell until like turn 5 or 6. That's going to be really, really rough for us. So I would also take anything you're on the fence about that is in the 3 or 4 mana range, try to put it in the 2 mana range. So we have like, you have Midnight Clock tagged as draw, bless your heart. We have like Distant Melody. Could be Impulse if you want a budget pick. It could be Consult the Star Charts if you want a non-budget pick. But we need more things that are going to enable us to either double trigger Alayla the turn after we play her, or do more stuff on the early turns. Because right now we're going like land go until our commander. That's really rough. We want to have something in play that will at least like even if we could have profs in play before we drop our commander, if we could drop Drana the turn before our commander, like we need more stuff that can happen before 4 mana value. This is killing you. I promise you. You could fix nothing about the approach, and if you just made the 2 bar as tall as the 4 bar, if you just swap the relative heights of the 2 mana bar and the 4 mana bar, it would already feel better. Even though I know like it's bracket 2, we're playing slow magic, even then, you need to be able to cast shit. Yeah, that's kind of cute, but again, a lot of our thought pattern is oriented around how do I do a fairy thing and not how do I do an evasive combat damage thing. That's where our brain needs to be at. So we need to care about saboteur effects, we need to care about getting power counters. We can do that with equipments, we can do that with creatures like Necropolis Regent. We have like the draw benefits in blue, like Enduring Curiosity, Kindred Discovery, to fill our hand with it. But yeah, we need to be willing to play non-fairy threats. If you need the threat to be a fairy, probably not going to work. I'll just tell you that now. Or it's probably not going to work on the timescale you want it to work in, and you're going to have to do way more. Like, I board wipe you, I board wipe you, I board wipe you. Do you give up yet? No? Okay, I board wipe you, I board wipe you, I board wipe you. And that's how you'll win, by just playing 1/1s. Because you cannot win just by making 1/1s. We have to pick, they're no longer 1/1s. I've lowered your HP another way. I have a million of them. I haven't gone deep into the I have a million of them strat. If you wanted to have a million of them, I would be doing some type of very, very jank plan, like Followed Footsteps on Bitterbloom Bearer. I would be playing Rite of Replication, and I would be trying to just clone the shit out of my token makers. And then if you just go like one token maker, one clone spell, I have like the weight of my fairy tokens crushes the table. I think that's worse than this other plan I've suggested to you, but it is possible. So I wish you the best of luck, and I hope this helped.